On today's show, Capcom cancels a presentation on optimization, timed arch-tempered hunts are a thing of the past, and finally, we race to see who can beat the newest challenge quest. So don't forget your hot drinks as we ready up for this episode of the Palibros. What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 16 or 17 of the Palibros, a podcast where a group of friends come together to talk about anything and everything Monster Hunter. Of course, I'm one of your hosts and the first cart, Patrick Jovez. Alongside me, we have the Mixet Maniac, Brian.
Hey guys, amazing intro, love it.
The Hunting Horn Elitist, Max.
How's it going?
And so tasty, Ryan.
I'm pretty sure we're on episode like 49, something like that.
Close enough.
Time flies. Right?
Oh my god. This was such a mess. I swear I had it together right before I hit record. Did I hit record, by the way? Yes, I did. All right, cool. This is rolling. We're live. How's everyone doing?
Real good.
It's great.
Refreshed.
Yeah, good.
You just got back from the gym, right, Brian? And immediately you're just like throwing that whole workout away.
Throwing it away, eating pupusas and fucking steak.
Well, you got some greens in there. Broccoli.
There were some vegetables, some broccolis.
Yeah.
Well, you were saying off air that, you know, it's coming out after a long weekend of splurging on like the maybe not so good food department.
Exactly. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to get to go to Disneyland with my girlfriend for a bit. We spent the weekend and we ate like the word, like it's Disneyland. You're gonna eat nothing but shit. You know, it's sweets and lots of carbs and lots of really good stuff. So coming back to the gym was rough today.
Anything seasonal that you guys tried out?
They have a matcha soft serve, which is really good. So if you like kind of a green tea style ice cream, it was excellent.
What's the difference between green tea and matcha?
I mean, it's green tea. Matcha is
it like extra green tea? Because I feel like matcha is like too harsh for me.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more bitter.
It's too matcha.
You're waiting for that one.
Yeah. Well, anyways, did you guys play any more Monster Hunter while we were out?
With Tim, I actually played a few rounds over the last week.
Yeah, I guess we played the other day, huh?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Nice. How'd that go?
Really good. It was nice to be able to get on there with him. He'd play the content already, but it was cool to have him play with the entire group.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we were getting smashed a couple times by the Lagiacrus, some of the tempered versions of it. Man, I was suffering with my poor little shield, but it was fun.
Yeah,
it's easy to forget how resistant a lot of like some of these tempered monsters are resistant to the normal like techniques. It's not even just a health pool thing. It's like you basically cannot like get a clash or a counter more than once, and that can be brutal sometimes when you're just relying on creating and breaking wounds for health, like for the Arkfeld set or whatever. There's just lots of small stuff that makes the game harder when it's like they're resistant to everything. Traps, everything. But that was kind of fun, because I was playing with Brian in that session, and it was nice to play the new monsters. But the tempered stuff, it's like, all right, tempered, Ray Dow, we've already fought 50, 60 times or whatever, but we've only fought Lagiacrus 4 times, and now we're already on the tempered version. So it's like you don't have the muscle memory, I guess. I don't know. It was still fun.
And Max was keeping us alive with a hunting horn, so thank you, Max.
As always.
I was working hard.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually was. I think I've been kind of in a slump of trying to figure out what to play lately, and I actually was like, let's just play more Monster Hunter. And then so I've been booting it up here and there, and I've been really enjoying just the like solo Lagiacrus fight. I think it's structured in a way that is more, I guess, nuanced than regular fights. Like, I like the kind of it feels like older fights where you kind of go from area to area, which you do in this game as well, but it doesn't seem like it goes that long for regular fights. But soloing the Lagiacrus and stuff like that, going to different parts and then doing the underwater stuff, it has like a good buildup of like, okay, now we're fighting over here, now we're fighting over here. Third act right here is like, oh, it's different when we're underwater, and then you get like treated to like a really cool little cutscene. And I was like, this fight in particular flows really well. Like, I actually really enjoy the Lagiacrus fight so far. So it's really cool that they implemented that and actually surprised all of us with like the underwater combat, which I'm getting a lot better at and understanding a lot more. So
it also, I think that fight ramps really well compared to a lot of other stuff. Like,
yeah,
and I think it's literally, I think it's almost as, it's not the only reason, but it's almost as simple as like his AoE attacks get bigger and stronger. So it's like, as you're getting more in a groove and like wanting to be more aggressive, he denies you that, you know? So it's like, it's pretty interesting that like you almost have to be as aggressive as possible off the rip, and then start to kind of dance around some of his big hits and just be ready.
Yeah. I'm very much enjoying the fight. I'm glad that they added him, and maybe I'll be soloing a Arch-Tempered one soon. But before we get into this show, let's take a look at the event quest schedule for July 15th through the 22nd. You get 3 event quests. First up, you get an Inferno Laid Bare, where you hunt the new Udra in the Oil Well Basin. Upon completion, you will obtain the Pinion Necklace Alpha Chest Armor and Feline Bell Collar Alpha. Must be HR 31 plus to participate. Next up is the Kungalala Cravings, where you hunt the Kungalala in the Scarlet Forest to gain some drool shrooms to cook on the barbecue. Must be
shoes. What are those?
Must be HR 9 plus. And finally, Romping Around, where you will hunt a Rumpapollo in the Oil Basin, where you'll gain some mud shrimp to throw on the bobby. Must be HR 19 plus to participate. Enough with all that. Let me remind you that this is the Palibros podcast, where each and every episode we try to keep you up to date on the latest Monster Hunter news, play Monster Hunter trivia, and in general talk about one of our favorite franchises. So don't forget, you can get each and every episode on youtube.com/@thepalibros, Spotify, and a variety of other podcast services for your listening pleasure. And if you like what we do, please consider liking, subscribing, sharing this episode with friends, and hitting that bell icon to help support us and to know when each of the latest episodes are posted. With all that out the way, let's begin our show with the latest in Monster Hunter news. Today in Monster Hunter news, we have 2 stories. Our first story, Capcom cancels a presentation on Monster Hunter Wilds performance at CEDEC 2025 amid ongoing development harassment. This news comes from PCGamer.com and is written by Lincoln Carpenter. Capcom has canceled a developer presentation on performance and optimization in Monster Hunter Wilds that was planned to take place later this month at the 2025 Computer Entertainment Developers Conference, the Japanese equivalent to GDC via Automaton Media. While Capcom hasn't stated a reason behind the change, the lecture's cancellation comes as Monster Hunter Wilds developers face harassment stemming from an ongoing outpouring of negative sentiment about the game's performance issues. According to machine translation of the CEDEC website, the lecture titled, quote, "Making Monster Hunter Wilds Run Smoothly, all about performance adjustments," end quote, was intended to detail Capcom's many battles to maintain stable operation while realizing the elements that make the game a selling point, with an emphasis on GPU load, CPU load, and memory optimization. Capcom hasn't made an official statement about the reasoning behind the talk's cancellation, but there's more than enough cause to speculate. The overwhelming majority of recent negative Wilds reviews are centered on performance complaints that persist despite texture streaming fixes in the latest title update. While Capcom says it's committed to continued performance improvements, it isn't hard to imagine how a talk on making Monster Hunter run smoothly might attract unfriendly attention from the many players who say it doesn't. Evidently, Capcom developers have already been suffering abuse from players who've decided that the best response to their justifiable frustration with a game's performance issues is unjustifiable target harassment. Last week, Capcom published a notice on its Japanese support website saying that it, quote, confirmed some instances of slander, libel, denigration, intimidation, threats to harm or disrupt business, and harassment against our executives and employees by name or in a manner that recalls specific individuals, end quote. Capcom went on to say that it may contact police or lawyers weird, and take legal action in cases of severe customer harassment, which could include defamation, abusive language, violent threats or acts violating employee privacy, or other forms of targeted hostility that are as futile as they are indefensible. As ever, if someone's making a living hell for any individual developer, they're more than likely terrorizing someone with no influence over the business practices responsible for their complaints. At the time of writing, the other Monster Hunter Wilds related talks on the CEDEC schedule are still set to continue. Wow. We've gotten to this point. First off, I just want to say that I get that all these optimization issues are super frustrating, and yes, like, it's not to be funny, but like, it's not optimal, you know. It sucks that you're unable to play your game, or you're unable to experience the game that you have been looking forward to in the best possible way. But this is unacceptable, you know. These people are working hard to create something for your entertainment, and it's really shitty of people to act this way towards people, even if just for anything. So I get the frustration, but all that aside, there's no reason for people to be harassing other people or terrorizing other people who are just trying to provide something for, like, their customers, regardless. But yeah, how do you guys feel about this?
I mean, yeah, it's a pretty cold take to say that, like, you know, cyberbullying employees of a company or actors and actresses is just not okay. Like, I don't see why it continues to be such a problem. It feels, you know, like after having so much time on the internet collectively, we might have better, like, self-regulation on that. You know, early days of the internet, it's a little bit of a wild west, but like, there's people who've grown up their entire lives with the internet in their hands. So feels like we should be better behaved than that. But you know, I just think that it's easy to talk shit if you don't have to have any consequences. So I'm glad they're taking it seriously, because you kind of have to take these people seriously. Like, you can't just, like, even if someone's joking around, or if it's just someone, like, not looking to, like, take action on their stuff, on the whatever comment they're making, like, you kind of have to take them seriously, because what if you're wrong?
Yeah.
So, and also, like the article put it perfectly. These people don't have control of a lot of this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So that just, to me, is just so sad, because, like, you know, people will do some internet sleuthing and be like, oh, well, this is, like, the art designer for, you know, on his LinkedIn, he posted that he's the art designer for, you know, Capcom for Monster Hunter Wilds, and he's, like, DMing these people. I'm making something up. This isn't a real thing, but, you know, for example, you know, that kind of stuff happens all the time, and it's just like, what are we doing, you know? So the ironic part is, like, as the person whose experiences came with the least amount of technical difficulties, I actually think the game is pretty well optimized, you know, like, of course, that's the console perspective,
Right?
And I know that that's not a comprehensive view of people's experience. So, but, you know, I think it's kind of ironic, because there is part of the game that's, like, really complex and, like, really pretty crazy, like, technically. Just if you look at, like, the scope of it. I mean, not the open world games have not existed until now, but it seems like they've done a pretty decent job, and especially on console. And console's almost even harder to optimize for, and maybe that's part of the reason that we're in the spot we're in right now, is because, you know, they looked at their install base for consoles and they're like, oh shit, you know, I mean, they knew that World was popular on PC, but, you know, only recently has PC, like, surpassed console install base in video games as a whole, you know? So when this game was in development for 5 years ago, they were probably hyper focusing on the console release, made it, you know, as optimal as possible, which it is. And then they kind of maybe shoehorned the PC side of it, and that's where we're at right now. So it's ironic because I think that console's almost harder to optimize for because you're just more, tied up in what you can and can't do just because of the hardware. But who knows what the actual? We'll probably never know how the sausage is made. I feel like we talked about it last week. It's like we could speculate all we want about like why things are the state that they are, but we don't know how they're allocating the resources internally.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I think it's harder for people to develop for PCs because there's no one uniform device that plays PC games. Like there's so many different variables between different builds and stuff like that. So I think it's a lot more difficult to kind of gain the scope of like how should we optimize this for PC, and that's exactly why we're having the issue that we are seeing in the news literally every episode so far with the past several episodes of the Palibros. It's just been snowball effect of PC issues. Oh, it's gonna get better. Like, trust me. I'm holding out hope for that eventually Monster Hunter Wilds will run better on PC, whether it be a couple updates from now or when the big DLC drops. And like if it still runs like this till the end of the game's life cycle, I mean, that's fine. Like, it's not the biggest deal in the world. It shouldn't, it shouldn't. I'm just saying it just shouldn't come to this amount of like backlash. But yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a video game.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
If it doesn't run perfectly, it's not the end of the world. I mean, I think it's like, I don't want to say it's like childish, but I think it's people that just can't regulate their emotions in a healthy way, and they feel like they need to lash out, and they're just grabbing whatever names they can find for people at Capcom, and it's like, it is unacceptable. And I mean, these are a company as large as Capcom, there's a lot of moving pieces. I'm sure the operations of such a business are incredibly complex. Like, there's no single person who's responsible for like, this game needs to be on the RE framework, even though maybe there was some issues with the previous. Like, there's no one person that can handle any amount of this blame. And while I personally thought that it was I don't want to say ironic isn't the right word, but I did think it was maybe a little bit in poor taste of Capcom to be giving this presentation, given the current state of the game. I do think it's pretty unacceptable for people to be resorting to death threats.
Yeah.
It's messed up.
Despite your opinion, it's I think we all understood the kind of the humor of the situation before we found out the other part.
Right.
It is still ironic.
Yeah. All right, moving on to our second story. I'm sorry, Brian, did you want to add something?
Not a whole lot to add. Echoing, of course, what had already been said, that at the end of the day, this is just a video game. Whether or not it runs at 140 frames or 60, no one's life is in danger, and to threaten someone's life for something, honestly, pretty foolish, is unacceptable, and honestly not a very effective way to get people to want to do something.
Yeah.
Like, I think there is constructive criticism, and then there's going beyond that, and I think this is going in a direction where you're just going to piss people off, and they're not going to want to do the thing that you're asking for. So I think there is a nicer way to go about asking for change, and resorting this level of, vocal harassment and, God forbid, physical harassment is unacceptable. So sad to see. The Monster Hunter community is very special, and it always makes me upset to hear that there are folks in that community that would resort to this type of behavior. So not cool.
It does feel like, I don't want to say Capcom's in like a lose-lose, but like, it's, how do you even respond to a community sending death threats? Like, even if Capcom does, come forward and put forth updates like to make the game more optimized, like we're all hoping that's the case, but what does that say to the people who send these death threats? Like, once the well has been poisoned, the communication from developers kind of like pulls back, because like, how do you even want to interact with the community when it's this toxic?
Right.
If they come out and put forth updates, then it's like, then it's, people aren't saying, oh, devs listened. It's like, oh, we made the devs listen. At which point it's like, what is the dynamic between the developers and the users, and like the communication between the two? This is the kind of situation where a lot of smaller developers, it's more common for them to have a more direct line of communication between like individual developers or like community managers and the community. And like there have been many cases where things like aren't going well, and then all of a sudden the community manager is getting death threats or there's backlash, and like
Helldivers, literally, that just happened like a couple months ago.
Invariably, this is the kind of situation that makes companies step back and say, you know, we can't have individual people having this level of access to the community. Like that's how companies become more closed off, and there's less communication between developers and the user base. And like that kind of sucks, because you know, as a fan, you want to be able to see like behind the scenes and be, you know, involved with something that you are a fan of and are maybe have some amount of personal investment in. But you know, it's just a shame because, you know, no matter what Capcom does, I think it's like there's like chum in the waters, and it's just a messed up situation.
Yeah, well said. Moving on to our second story, Monster Hunter Wild's poor post-launch reception bubbles up to the surface in shareholder meetings, though Capcom says it's committed to fixing performance and content woes. This news comes by way of PC Gamer and is written by Harvey Randall. Monster Hunter Wilds is in a weird spot. It's being buried under an avalanche of negative Steam ratings and community sentiment. At the time of writing, its recent reviews are overwhelmingly negative, with just 12% of over 2,000. With just 12% of over 20,000 user reviews being positive. Capcom's fighting a war on two fronts. Firstly, the performance for the PC version has been not so great. Secondly, players have been complaining about a lack of proper endgame content and challenge, with a lot of usual Monster Hunter-y mechanics ironed out in favor of streamlining routines and removing friction. The latter is getting sorted slowly but surely, with title updates and arch-tempered monsters, but building out the kind of solid, repeatable endgame that fuels a Monster Hunter game takes time, especially if the scaffolding wasn't there on launch. And given those Steam reviews, performance still isn't completely fixed either. In fact, community response has been so turbulent that questions about it even bubbled to the top of a recent shareholder meeting. The meeting was held June 20th last month, with summaries published today. In the shareholder Q&A, Capcom was asked twice about player reception to Monster Hunter Wilds. One shareholder stated, quote, "There have been concerns raised regarding recent titles, including insufficient content volume and optimization issues. What are the company's plans for addressing these matters going forward?" End quote. Meanwhile, another asked, quote, "Are the development staff aware of the feedback being shared on social media and message boards regarding Monster Hunter Wilds?" End quote. Capcom's answers to both were fairly dry and boilerplate. In both cases, Capcom reassured shareholders that, quote, "The development team carefully reviews all feedback received from our users and that it will be committed to enhancing user satisfaction via future updates." However, it's a pretty good Geiger counter for, well, danger. Monster Hunter Wilds still sold like hotcakes. Of course it did, it's a Monster Hunter game. But when shareholders are asking about the dunks you're getting on social media, it's a pretty good sign you've got some problems to fix. And it just keeps building. Now this is kind of, you know, it's one thing to get backlash from the public about a game, but now we're hearing shareholders air their concerns during a shareholders meeting. And this is like the article said, this is definitely not a good sign. I'm just curious, you know, like within the past 5 years or so many studios in like the gaming world have closed down, games canceled, mass layoffs, etc. Literally, probably last year's like the worst the game industry has ever been in. The worst state the games industry has ever been in terms of all that. Are we concerned about Division 2 Monster Hunter, Capcom's Monster Hunter team at all? No?
I don't think so. I think that Capcom, if they're feeling really pressured, one, they kind of already got their bag because of like the astronomical sales numbers. I think like going forward as to whether or not this negative sentiment affects future sales, in upcoming titles in the series, that would be something to consider. If anything, as far as Capcom is concerned, in my eyes, like Monster Hunter is their golden child. Like it's going to be the last thing that's getting any cuts. Like there are certain smaller titles like Capcom and put out like Kunitsugami, which are like more middle-ish budget games. Like those are going to be the first things on the chopping block. Monster Hunter is going to be the thing. If like God forbid Capcom as a company something happens, but like Monster Hunter is the thing that it's going to be clutching onto as it on its way into the grave. Like it's not going to let go of Monster Hunter. It's too big. It has too much love from the community. There's so many, like it's massive. It's not going anywhere in my eyes.
The way I think about it, at least, is like there's like 10 Transformers movies. So, you know, whether or not something is good doesn't necessarily mean it's going to like be canceled or continue to have sequels or whatever made of it. So, in my eyes, I think Monster Hunter is good, but I don't really think past like the first Transformer movie that it was very good. But it doesn't matter because it kept making money, which is like probably the most pure question we can answer in this context. But I will say also it's worth considering that there's probably a huge contraction in the video game developing market because of COVID. Like we saw a huge growth in that industry during COVID because everyone was home and like, okay, what the hell do we do? And then you see all these like, you know, Among Us and like all these other kind of like indie darlings walk away with huge profits. So everyone was kind of like on all budgets, we're trying to race to capture that part of the market, right? So if we're thinking about all that kind of stuff, it's like, you know, of course that's going to contract at some point. And so now that like things are kind of opening back up and people are spending their money on travel and like going out to restaurants and stuff anymore, like the video game, there's like less money being spent on video games, and yet there's still a ton of money, you know, being dumped into invest in them, hoping to recoup it. I mean, Hollywood has a similar problem though, where it's like basically no movie can exist in the middle anymore. It's like $1 billion like summer blockbuster or bust, and then most of them bust, and everyone's like, well, why are we losing so much money? You know. So it's like, you know, I think considering the fact that, you know, the industry grew exponentially and very rapidly during COVID just because everyone was at home, and then also like because there's a lot of greed, like people want the next big thing, so they're gonna like, if someone comes to you and says like, I can make you $1 billion, you just got to give me $500 million to make this game, you know. That's those two things like create situation where people are gonna get fired because not everyone can, you know, it's literally impossible for everyone to like have a hit game. Like just that's by definition can't be possible, right? And then also just the state of the world. So I don't think Monster Hunter necessarily falls within those lines of like rapidly expanded in that time. And also they made hella money, so it doesn't matter if the reviews are bad, honestly. So like even if the game was much worse and it's mostly poor reviews because of the performance, then we'd still probably get another Monster Hunter, which as people running on Monster Hunter podcast, I think we're all kind of excited by that, a little bit of security, you know?
Yeah.
I think sorry, I don't want to like monopolize the microphone too much, but I think the important thing to note is that a lot of the problems with this particular entry in the franchise, like the problems exist around like the core of the game is intact, and I think a lot of people appreciate like the core of like the experience and hunting is all intact and great. It's all just like balance issues and performance issues. All the things that are problems exist around, like, you know, Monster Hunter Wilds has the making of like a potentially great,
they're all secondary issues.
I think that everybody can agree that like the pieces are there. And so I think like from like a consumer standpoint, it's not like, you know, you don't play Monster Hunter Wilds and be like, man, they were totally off the mark, like they don't understand what Monster Hunter is. Like I think we can see what Wilds is and be excited about it, even though there are other issues around it. I think that like they could also very easily win people back by like, you know, they always release like their demo or beta test. All they would need to do to bring people back in is have like the next Monster Hunter franchise entry is like they put out a beta that's very well optimized and sort of nip that in the bud, and then everybody's back on board.
That's a good point.
Easier said than done.
We'll see, right?
We'll see.
They're famous for their betas being not very good, which is always a problem. I will just want to add that I'm impressed. Like I feel like for shareholders to actually say something about this is interesting, given the fact that it's sold so well. You think they would have been happy? They're like, cool, money's good, everything's done. And I would always, this is bad of me to say, but I feel like are shareholders generally like people in the industry? Like, do they understand game performance? Like, so the fact that there's someone out there's going like, yo, this game's not optimized. Like, you guys might need to know about that or work on that. It's like, damn, the shareholder, they know what they're talking about. That's kind of cool.
They could just have Google alerts set to articles about the money that they have.
Honestly,
and they read the headline and says no optimization. They're like, where is the optimization? Where is it?
That means, yeah. Fair enough. That's the other option. But the other good thing too is, with shareholder calls like this, you're going to have upper, C-suite, upper management folks from from Capcom hearing about it. So if it wasn't already brought to the attention of those that may have the ability to do something about it, this is a good way for that to happen. So is it too late for there to be a significant change? I don't know. We'll see. But hopefully they continue to work on it for our sakes. And then, if they can, for the next game, keep that really in mind. I don't know, hell, put the game in for some more time to bake. Or maybe even change the engine. I don't know. So many options.
I mean,
not to. Sorry, go ahead, Pat.
No, please.
I was gonna say not to yuck your yum or,
Frosted cookies.
destroy your optimism or whatever. But I will say Battlefield is like kind of on a master class of rebranding right now. Like 2042 was shit. Battlefield 4 launched terribly. Like they have such a long history, and then they keep making games, and people keep forgetting, and they keep pre-ordering. And right now they've hired like a PR firm to just be like, put all these like documentary videos out, like, we care. Here at DICE, we care. Okay, it's like a straight out of a South Park thing. Not to say the game will be bad, but like DICE has burned us way too many times. I mean, I don't know. I think it's kind of funny the amount of hate that like Monster Hunter's getting, because it's like CD Projekt Red, No Man's Sky, like there's plenty of people who have done it worse and have made a way shittier game on launch. And like way worse. So not to say that I don't want the game that we're all enjoying to be its best self, but just going back to the roots of the article about how people are death threatening these people, it's like this is like a middling example. It's like not even that bad, to be honest. I don't know. Again, I'm saying that's a console player. I'm just going off of what you guys are saying.
Honestly, you actually. Oh, go ahead, Max.
I was just gonna say really fast, like at a certain point, if you're gonna look at it on the positive angle, like it just means people care that much about Monster Hunter and the franchise. I mean, if
in a weird view,
like for the longest time, Monsters, like the golden franchise, like could do no wrong, and the amount of shock and outrage, when there's one misstep is, it's certainly an overreaction in every sense of the word.
Yeah,
but people just care about it that much, I guess, or maybe they just don't have.
But let's not say that this let's not say Worlds was Witcher 3 and like Wilds is like and Cyberpunk. You know what I mean? Like, but that's how people are kind of acting. Like it's like the end of the world. Like this is the biggest betrayal ever. It's like Cyberpunk was too ambitious for its time. Very poorly optimized. Like they were shooting for the freaking stars, and like they did not hit it on any console, on any platform. You could only play it on super high-end PCs.
It literally got pulled from the PlayStation Store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. As gamers, we've been burned a lot, is what I'm trying to say. So it's like I can understand the frustration. Like I don't pre-order stuff anymore, no matter what. But it's like, oh man, this feels like such a tepid example of like a game developer kind of fumbling the bag.
Well, I think it's funny you bring up an example I was going to pull forth was No Man's Sky. That game came out, promised the world. Like Monster Hunter Wilds didn't even promise the world. First off, second off, No Man's Sky came out to just meh reviews, and then through so much time and development and they kept working on it and stuff like that, eventually it became this amazing game that now if you play it, it's like, holy shit, like this is the game that they envisioned from the beginning. And so if the only issue that we're thinking about now is we just want Monster Hunter to run better, first of all, and then second, just have your gameplay loop tweaked a little bit so that we have the need to come back. Like those aren't two gigantic things, that's not as gigantic a task, at least I think, compared to something like hey, we have to create more assets, we have to create more planets, we have to make our entire system of our game like the way that we sold it. You know,
It's taken them 10 years to fulfill that promise.
right? I mean,
I
but
wonder if it is that big of an ask, to be honest.
yeah, I mean,
Like,
well,
I wonder what the limits of what they could actually do for optimization, given that if
That's
it's
very
all
true.
engine related. Like,
Is it
Sorry to
people
interrupt.
time? No, it's.
I mean,
yeah,
all we
there's so
could
many
do
ways.
on our end is speculate because we don't actually develop games. So, you know, I think the one thing we can pull away from all of us is we just hope that eventually it works out for them so that we can enjoy the game fully optimized for our systems, and hopefully we'll get Monster Hunter back on the overwhelmingly positive side of Steam reviews, and definitely no more death threats. So, moving on to something a bit more hopeful. Our last story, Monster Hunter Wilds will try to cut down on arch-tempered FOMO with new update. This article is written by Eric Van Allen over there at IGN.com. Capcom has continued to fine-tune and update Monster Hunter Wilds since its launch in February, and in a new guild report, it's addressing one specific piece of feedback: the fear of missing out on time-limited content. Over on X/Twitter, Capcom said it had received requests to make time-limited arch-tempered monsters permanently available to hunt. In response, the developer is making the fights with arch-tempered Raidou and Uthduna permanently available to hunt. Arch-tempered Raidou swoops in on July 23rd alongside the Festival of Chord Flame Fetes? I'm gonna say Flame Feet's arrival, and will permanently be available from then on. Capcom does note that the event quest that's available now will end on July 16th. Arch-tempered Uthduna will also arrive on July 23rd, 1 week earlier than planned, and will be permanently available too. These two are the first and only confirmed permanent additions so far, though it sounds like Capcom is considering more. Quote, "We are considering making the event quest for the upcoming arch-tempered monsters and other event quests permanently available as well," said Capcom in a statement. "Once we finalize the details of these improvements, we'll share exactly what they are, as well as when they will be implemented." End quote. Opinions on the update seem generally positive. While there is concern over losing the funneling effect that time-limited content has, most players do seem excited for this change, especially since arch-tempered enemies often incorporate new content and drops that returning players might want to seek out. Quote, "I'd rather just be able to come back to a bunch of new stuff when I'm in the mood to engage with it," end quote, said one player on the Monster Hunter subreddit. Capcom has been gradually working to address feedback and issues players have with Monster Hunter Wilds, even as it's reportedly received harassment over the latest entry in the Monster Hunter series. This seems like a solid change and a sign that the team is listening, even as it continues to roll out pretty big additions like the new battle with Lagiacrus. Arch-tempered Raidou and Uthduna both arrive in Monster Hunter Wilds for a permanent stay on July 23rd. Finally a bit of good news. It's been kind of hard to write the news for the past couple episodes because it just feels like I'm not personally shitting on Capcom, but it's like everyone is like, God damn, we're just beating this company down, and yeah, we're not supposed to be company apologists and stuff like that, but man, like, can we just get in like the good graces of the fans again? Can we have our Monster Hunter back and just enjoy playing it? So
I feel like we're having to overcorrect because people are just being way over the top, you know?
Yeah, but this is a huge positive change for me because, you know, the arch-tempered fights are so much fun. They're a lot more of a challenge this time around. We actually have to, well, I mean, you don't have to spec for it, but it's nice to actually try to spec for it. It's basically the closest thing we get to old school Monster Hunter as we can with Wilds. So I'm excited for this change. Super awesome that they are implementing this and listening and like, you know what, let's make this change for the better. But what do you guys think?
I agree. I think you know, coming from a lot of people perspective that are, you know, older like ourselves, having a time limited event can be difficult. So, you know, with availability and with the kind of things going on, so the FOMO is, you know, one way to manage people getting on, but I'm of the mindset that it's nice to just be able to like just hop on and play it when you want to do it. And I think we've talked about this before as well. Once you do the arch-tempered version of a fight, every version of the monster before, like after that just feels unnecessary. It's like I don't want to fight any other version anymore. The rest is boring. So it's nice.
Everything's low rank now.
Everything's low rank. Like that then becomes the version you fight going forward. You can just do that and enjoy the challenge. So I mean, I don't think I'd ever want to do just a non-tempered, Raidao investigation at this point. So hopefully it's the same with Uduna.
Yeah, I always felt like the sort of time-limited arch-tempered events where it's like it feels unnecessary, and it's like chasing player retention and like live service numbers where like we need to manage these events in a way where we're like having the optimum number of people logging in at this time, and it's like, does it need to exist in a game like this? Like all you need in Monster Hunter is like 4 people maximum. Like we don't need to be like inconveniencing people just to like manage the player numbers in such like an arbitrary way.
Yeah.
To the point, especially when there's a lot of stuff where it's like, you need those tickets for a number of different things. Like you could do the raid out a number of times, make all the weapons and armor, and then, the quest leaves and you're like, oh man, I needed more tickets to make the different decoration tiers I didn't even know existed.
Guess I'll wait till next year.
The charm tiers, and it's like, oh, I guess I'll wait, a couple months to come back. Like it's just, I'm happy they're making the change. I think it's for the better, even if, people get to the content when they get to the content. If the player numbers aren't retained in the most optimum manner, like they'll come back when the next event comes out. It doesn't have to be this, and it doesn't have to be annoying. I'm glad they made the change.
Yeah.
If we're talking about player retention, Pat said something like, oh yeah, the battle, and I was like, of the guy, Chris. I was like, battle royale? Is that what we're doing now? Is that the next step? I don't know. I also think that like this kind of goes back to, trying to maximize your profit out of your game. It's like, we're already paid full price for it. It's like you're going to get a second round on DLC. Like you don't have to give us a live service drip feed or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, but I will say it is kind of engaging. Like there's been multiple times where I've texted you guys like, oh, like let's hop back on and try out the new whatever. So as much as I hate to admit it, it kind of works. Especially because there's so many other games vying for our attention. You know what I mean? So it is kind of the unfortunate reality of like modern content creation.
It's just two sides of the same coin, right? It's like, how do we keep? It's just player retention. How do we keep them? I think for me, what works best or better is just have the content available. That way, I don't then totally. I'll feel like, okay, cool. Like if I feel like I'm gonna have no time to do this and stress over it, I won't come back. This is the most I've been playing Monster Hunter in the past month or so, was this week, just because he was like, you know what? The Gaiacris is available, and it's always going to be available. Like, it may not be the Arch-Tempered one or whatever if I don't, like, scout for it or cycle for it, but, I'm interested in having a hunt with this monster. And I turned it on, hunted him once, and I was like, that's dope. Let's try it with a different weapon. Hunted him again, and I literally played all day, like, today while I was working. So I'm like, yeah, I think for me, just being able to have your game say, hey, look at what we have to offer at all times. Come in, we have hella shit for you guys to do. Like, that is a much more appealing offer to me, but I understand to each their own, and I understand that the drip feed tactic works as well, but I'm just, for me, my personal taste, I prefer the
I'm with you. I also think that, like, they could have done both, that end game grind that we were all kind of talking about from previous games doesn't really exist right now. And it's like, for that to be like a post-launch like addition, it's like, why wasn't that just like there? And then like for the diehards, we could have just like been on that grind that whole time. And then for casuals who need a reason to come back, then yeah, like these new like monster updates are gonna like bring them in, which is great. So I don't know. It seems weird that they couldn't conceive of like a gear meta that we could have like really invested into. I mean, it is pretty expensive to upgrade armor sets with armor spheres and stuff. So that part, I guess, is still intact in some regard, but it feels silly that they're like just adding. They're going to add some like post game like grind now at this point.
I think that for me, the difference is like specifically in how, I wouldn't say transformative, that these sort of arch-tempered quests are compared to the rest of the quests. Like the rest of the event quests are like fun, little layered armor pieces. There's nothing like meta armor or weapons involved.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that they go away is the problem. Like I really look forward to I look forward to being able to look at the roadmap and being like, oh wow, what cool content is on the horizon. Like that sort of stuff is enough to keep me excited and coming back. But the fact that it goes away after 2 weeks, like what if I'm busy? What if I'm on a trip? What if X, Y, and Z? And the fact that the arch-tempered monsters are so different, and they have like meta gear, and like there's just weapons that you just can't make, or what? I guess it's not weapons, but armor.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, it's like it's way more consequential of a thing to miss out on than just like I can't have the little frog hat sitting on my head, a layered armor piece. Like
I guess that's what they're banking on, right? But yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
And the other thing too is that these event quests come back already with the kind of month, what do you call it, that like quarterly events that they do for the holidays. So it's not like this is a completely unheard of change where like, surprise, it's coming back after only being limited to like a 2-week window in the past. Like they bring it back already, so if they're already doing that for maybe 2 or 3 weeks at a time every 4 months, like why not just make it permanent and call it a day? So I guess
one last thing to add, that maybe makes sense for something like the oh my god, what was it called, from like the raid fight from World, where you need like it was Safi Jiva, or not Safi Jiva,
the gold queen looking thing.
Yes,
that one. Oh god,
where it's like the entire lobby is contributing to damage to like a shared health pool, where it's like that has like mechanics where you want a lot of people on fighting that thing at once, where it's like that is a situation where it makes sense to try and funnel the players in to where everybody's doing the content at once. But like for a monster that you can just go fight solo or fight with 4 people, like there's really not a reason in my mind to limit it in that way.
And that makes sense because they actually do that in they've been doing that in Street Fighter 6 lately. When Akuma came out, they had a whole like Akuma, like the battle hub changed, and there was a giant Akuma that however many people fought like this level 8 CPU Akuma, it was like a giant raid battle, like, and then whoever won came and collected their power and all sat back and did like this giant Hadouken and fucking like destroyed him.
Bombed him.
Yeah, it was really cool. I was like, oh
yeah,
like that makes sense for that type of thing. Like have that too as a part of like your festival thing, but don't just have something as good as like arch tempered fights and stuff like dangle it in front of us for like 2 weeks and be like, oh, it'll come back later. Like, don't worry about it.
And it looks like the monster, Kol Vateroth.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's it for Monster Hunter News. Of course, if you hear that sound, it means we're all readied up for the topic of the show. In today's main event, we race to see who can beat the newest challenge quest the fastest in a 2v2 mashup. I don't know what I'm supposed to say after that. So I guess we'll just go ahead and head over to the Gathering Hub. We'll see you guys there. If you guys have been to our shows in the past, don't worry. For all your audio listeners, we'll have our post-hunt clarity report playing while overlaid with our hunt so that the video viewers can watch that as well. And I'll, of course, put up the full hunts on the YouTube channel at youtube.com/@thepalibros with our unedited commentary, and so just so you can hear like Brian and Max scream whenever they get hit. So well, we're gonna go ahead and pop on over to the Gathering Hub. We'll see you guys in a second, and see you there. All right, we made it back, and it's time for our post-hunt clarity report. All right, guys, it was the 2v2 matchup of the century, Team Blouses versus Team Winners, but the game goes to Team Blouses.
Let's go. Meant to be.
I'm just saying Team Iron is our self-appointed name that I appointed for us.
You guys beat us by a whole 20 seconds and 17 tenths of, or hundredths of a second.
I'm not saying I'm good at Monster Hunter, but I've never played the Charge Blade before, the Switch Axe before. So
right,
he's a natural.
That's what I was saying. Like, so obviously this is more like race type vibe. But how did you like your first attempt, or I guess not first attempt, but like how did you like trying the Charge Blade out?
Yeah, it was super interesting. I have spent like probably 30 seconds in the training arena once with it, just being like, what's up with this? Because I know Pat is like in love, and so I've been seeing him do big damage and this like really cool ultimate elemental attack where he just jams the sword in their face and just like explodes with like electricity or ice or fire or something. I'm like, wow, that looks so sick.
I do like.
But there was like a moment. Yes, we all know that. So maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, I was like, man, that looks so cool. I want to try it. Went to the hunting range or into the practice range, and I was like, yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand this.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I will say that there's a huge similar foundation, I feel like, because I was literally like, okay, I'm a greatsword main, but like I feel like I could maybe do okay with a sword and shield or a dual blades. So it kind of feels like literally sword and shield plus greatsword. So in that way I think I was able to pretty quickly suss out like at least some of the main movesets. Like within the first minute I was already kind of doing that like switch into like the wide swing things, and I was like, okay, how many times can I combo this? Like what's the ultimate ending? I was like trying to smash triangle or like circle or both, just like what's the finishing move? How do I do the big elemental thing? Couldn't figure it out, but at least was doing some damage and just general awareness. I think Brian was doing enough damage that he was aggroing most of the time, so I like had a little bit of a leeway there where I wasn't always being focused, so that kind of helped. So it's like almost Mario Kart-esque, where it's like the people who are doing well are gonna like almost be punished, and the people who aren't doing super well are gonna like have a little bit more breathing room. It's not quite designed that way, I think, but it was really appreciated. It was appreciated that Brian was drawing aggro most of it because it allowed me to play around a lot. But as a greatsword main, like I could see myself making the jump.
Nice. That's awesome.
Nice. You picked the most technical weapon, one of the most technical weapons to just fucking go, all right, let's just do it. No, I was happy to help out with the gun lance. It was my first time trying to incorporate hops into actual use in the game that wasn't for just spacing purposes. So I did lose my evasion mantle pretty quickly, or I just felt like it went by really fast. I'm not sure if you get hit enough times, it just breaks. So it was cool to kind of try it once or twice, but I was finding that I kept forgetting to incorporate it. Like I used it once or twice when I had it on, and then I just went right back to blocking with my shield. And I'm like, I gotta break that kind of habit. And the evasion mantle does give you a nice bonus on damage. The set had the evasion +3, and then it also had the adrenaline rush, I think, for giving you more damage if you get a good evasion. So I can see how that set's really going to maximize the damage when those are incorporated. So it was a lot of fun. I played it a little aggressively. I used a lot of I always forget the move combo of where you're doing effectively like the full burst into Wyvern Fire, which is a very committing move. I got hit quite a few times more than I normally do because I was just trying to get to that final quick Wyvern Fire part of the combo for extra damage. So I could see myself wanting to try maybe incorporating some safer little moves and charging up my shells. But
I think we're also used to tempered Mitsune, because that tail whip is like literally a one-hit KO on like a tempered. So it was definitely, I think we also were in the mind space of like ultra hard Mitsune, very aggressive, tempered, extra move sets, more damage.
Yeah,
there's a lot of openings, and I'm glad that when you got the mount, you were able to do it near one of the pillars for that free 700 damage.
That was literally on accident. I was just, you mentioned earlier, like, oh, why didn't you do the sneak attack? And it's like, well, I just didn't expect to do well at all. So I was just fucking running in there and mashing buttons for the first 30 seconds. And you were like, well, I haven't even like done my max potion, I haven't done my rations. I'm like, I'll figure it out later, So yeah, the pillar was a happy accident, which might have caused us that extra 20 seconds or whatever, especially because we didn't get the sneak attack, and we didn't have palicos. or a second try.
There you go.
I'm such a salty winner, dude. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
It was
the
good.
first hunt where we were on track to doing sub 3 minutes because we were
I
killing
don't
it.
know. But then there
Yeah,
was this
I did not have a good
fishing
time at
rod
all.
incident.
Max is over here trying to fish.
yeah.
I'm disconnected from everybody. Yeah, it's a fucking mess.
Yeah. So let us know how you guys felt about your run.
Yeah, I was feeling good on the first run. Then we got iced out by some connection issues,
Oh yeah.
and my Discord froze about 15 seconds into the second hunt, and I'm literally tabbing out like RTC connection issues. What does that even mean?
What is this?
Like mid hunt, I was really like flustered.
So you're
I was,
telling me there's PC performance issues, Max?
well,
That's a lie. That's a lie.
Discord was doing something, so I was
Yeah.
freaking out.
Yeah, for me it was it was pretty much just, man, I need to like, well, let's say this. I was not optimizing on as much damage per second as I could be. I feel like there's so much that kind of goes into Charge Blade that you have to build everything up, then you have to charge it, then you have to do all these things, and I started missing my second run. I started missing all my big hits, and I'm like, okay, well, that's just a whole bunch of damage not spent. And
I don't know, man. It sounds to me like you're overcomplicating it. I just mashed the buttons and it did pretty good.
I'm pretty sure Brian's shoulders are sore from the big ass backpack he had to carry.
Yeah. It would. Honestly, this is like a perfect example of like we need like a post damage like counter. Like, how much am I resting on Brian's laurels right now? Am I just talking hella shit, or did I do okay?
I used to think I
good
was
to
good
know.
at Monster Hunter until we installed that in Rise, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not doing shit in these hunts."
No.
Yeah, but yeah, it was super fun. Is anyone thinking about going back to try to solo and get the A rank themselves? Well, I believe it's 4 minutes and 30 seconds.
I definitely want to do it. I actually ran a couple single person attempts just after our first run and when you guys were kind of working on some of the technical issues.
Mhm.
And I'm already seeing some things I can do to optimize. But I would very much actually appreciate doing it with a 2-player setup. And I feel like, if we can do it a couple more times, we'll easily be able to do it as a combo. It actually feels like it might be harder solo, but I could be wrong.
Oh, I would completely agree.
Yeah,
Like, because like you can't miss. Like, and you're at least with like 2 people, you're always doing damage. And like someone's aggroing, like gives another person a chance to sharpen or heal. Like, yeah, I voted for that for a reason. Like, I actually don't like solo arena hunts at all. So.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I've done all
definitely-
the I've done all the other ones for the A rank, so I'm gonna go back and do this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, I'm gonna try
Hopefully, no
solo
more
as
technical
well.
issues.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Don't leave it into the PC's hands. But yeah, let us know what you guys think. If you guys go ahead and try this challenge quest versus the Mizitsune, let us know in the comments below what times you got, what you guys thought of the fight, and where you thought you could have done better, or your strategies for getting that A rank.
Yeah.
That brings us to the end of this episode of the Palibros. Brian, Max, and Ryan, I want to thank you guys again for coming out for another episode. And of course, fellow hunters, I want to thank you guys for coming through, watching every show that we have, enjoying it, having fun with us. It means a lot just to know that people are out there enjoying our content. Hopefully, our content channel grows and more people can help, get the word out there. But so far, everyone here, thank you guys so much for listening. We have so much fun doing this. I truly look forward to doing this every time we can. If you guys are enjoying our content, please leave a like, subscribe, share, do all the social media stuff. Send it to your friends and whatnot. But thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed the show. And until next time, happy hunting.